doggy, here we go again. Looks like Microsoft is going to be bringing the heat maybe sooner than we expected, and that maybe shouldn't come as much of a surprise. Obviously, Microsoft has very much unlimited money, and when you see people talking about what's going to happen next in the industry, a lot of people are surprised. They think that no, Microsoft isn't going to buy anymore. Microsoft is done buying these studios. Microsoft is done buying these publishers. The actual fact of the matter is they're not even close to being done buying these things, right? They've got a ton of money. They've got a ton of cash sitting just ready to be used. And the reason why they can continue to do this is because, one, they're not the market leader. So it might seem as a bit of a misnomer or an unfair bit of situation because, let's just be honest, right? This is a bad situation where Sony is the market leader. So they face more scrutiny when they pick up studios and things like that than Microsoft does. Also, the fact that Microsoft has far more money to spend on stuff is very much a problem for Sony and not as much of a problem for Microsoft. So yes, while the FTC is going to investigate Microsoft's Activision buyout, they're going to definitely 100% allow it. It's going to happen. And, we're going to continue to see things like this happen in the future. And there's plenty of reasons why. This announcement, though, is something that I feel like everybody's going to want to hear. And you should hear this if you're interested in, what's happening in the future and the buyouts and stuff like that. Definitely pay attention to this right here. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm the Crap Gamer, and of course, this is Crap Gamer Reviews, your home for gaming news, opinions, reviews, and much more. You'll probably notice some changes around here, but hopefully that doesn't stop you from giving us a like, and possibly even consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your free time with me today. I know you guys are all busy, family, friends, work, all that kind of stuff, so I'm very much appreciative when you guys can come out here and spend some time with me. It's really just means the world to me. And if you're looking for a way to support the channel, the content, I do multiple videos a day. Try to cover any kind of big news that comes out. A simple like goes a long way. It helps the channel to be seen, and that's pretty much all I ask for. So thank you guys very much for that and all the support and stuff like that. It's super, it's been amazing and just such a fantastic thing. And I'm very appreciative. Don't ever think that I don't appreciate it. So with that being said, there's a big thing going on right now. And take this with a grain of salt, but also it's happening, right? And I want to just say that it's definitely happening. Now, the other day, after the day after the Bungie buyout, Jeff Keighley, who is, as you guys know, he's in the industry. He does the Game Awards. He obviously knows a lot about what's going on. With that being said, he tweeted this out. He says, "Have heard from multiple people. As you might suspect, there are a few other big video game deals in the final stages of negotiations. It's going to be an interesting year." And then he also asked what's people's thoughts on general on consolidation. Is it good or or if you're on the fence or whatever? He says he's on the fence. I said that I would rather see Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo buy companies as opposed to Tencent, Google, Amazon, or Disney or Apple. But I can understand why people are a little bit wary of that kind of stuff. For me personally, I feel like we're at a point in time where there are going to be outsiders coming out to try and attempt to lure these companies away. And that's something that cannot stand. Like, honestly, if you're a fan of console gaming or if you're a fan of how gaming has been, you definitely do not want these companies to do that. You want these companies to go out there, and I personally would much rather these third-party companies stay third-party and to do things that way. For me personally, I just feel like that's probably the better option in my opinion. But I do also think that there are instances where it's needed to happen, right? And it's just funny to talk about and to look at how much the industry has changed over the years. Now, why would Microsoft, buy more companies after buying Activision? Well, there's obviously going to be different types of approaches when it comes to how these companies do these things. And it's not just Microsoft and Microsoft and Sony that are doing this, right? Obviously, Take-Two acquired Zynga. We heard yesterday or the other day that EA is actually looking to acquire, not be acquired. So they are actually looking to buy other companies themselves, and that's something that they can definitely afford to do or whatever. And again, this is just a very interesting type of situation that we find ourselves in, and there's rumors that Microsoft is tied to right now, which I've kind of stated some of these in the past, but Ubisoft is one that is heavily tied to Microsoft. First of all, Microsoft is allowing Ubisoft's play on Game Pass. Picking up that would be another huge feather in the cap for Microsoft, who does Game Pass, obviously. So that's something that people kind of have to keep their mind on as well. And people might go, well, why are these companies doing this right now? Right? Why are these companies doing this now? Why would Microsoft buy another company so fast when they've actually, had so much problem with some of these things, possibly getting this through anyway, right? Like they're having trouble with the FTC and stuff like this. It's not as much trouble as people might think, by the way, right? I just kind of want to point that out. It's honestly not. It's not as much trouble as people think. So yeah, it is something that Microsoft can do sooner rather than later for sure. So we'll see how that kind of comes about as well. And now, thanks to a new article, we have a good idea as to why Microsoft is doing this in the first place, and why Sony will also continue to buy up some of these as well. And basically, it all has to do with inflation. So according to this article, which I will link, it's a VentureBeat Jeff Grubb article. It says acquisition season is upon us, and it's not going to let up anytime soon. In January alone, Take-Two bought Zynga for $12.7 billion. Activision Blizzard is selling to Microsoft for almost $70 billion, and Sony capped off the month with a $3.6 billion Bungie deal. It's natural to expect the acquisition market to cool off after such a hot start. Your conditions will likely keep many companies on the hunt. One of the biggest factors fueling the acquisition arms race is that many of the big players are succeeding in their current strategies. Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox are both more profitable than ever, and they have made desirable consoles that stores cannot keep in stock. And their games continue to set a new bar in terms of quality. With such strong fundamentals, the companies can afford to fund inorganic growth. This extends beyond Microsoft and Sony. The entire gaming market is on a high from the strong sales throughout the pandemic, and they're looking for ways to maintain the momentum for long-term success. Many publishers are in this position of wanting to turn a temporary upturn into something that can serve as a fundamental revenue for the next 10 years. Microsoft bringing in King does this. Sony bringing in live service darling Destiny also accomplishes the same goal, but with so many huge corporations looking to extend their business, it creates an urgency to make moves sooner rather than later. Bungie has entertained offers for years now, but Sony pulled the trigger because it didn't want to miss the chance. The urgency is crucial to understanding the market because it doesn't just affect the buying side of the deals. If you started a studio in the last 20 years, now looks like the best time to cash out. If you do, you can potentially sell at a premium. Bungie is privately owned, but no one was putting that studio at $3.6 billion evaluation, even with nearly $2 billion in annual revenue. Zynga's $12.7 billion price tag is on the high side. But the race to grow through acquisitions is pushing the price up, and it'll likely encourage more stakeholders in private and public companies. But this is the big deal right here, inflation. And a lot of people don't know what that is. I'm going to explain it how this article explains it. I found this to be a very simplified and, simple way that they explained it. Inflation, basically, it encouraged people with money to use it or risk losing a bit of its value every year. The Federal Reserve defines a normal interest rate at about 2%. The U.S. is coming out of 2021 at an inflation rate of about 7%, which is pretty high. So it does begin to turn cash into a liability for these corporations that are sitting on stockpiles of $100 bills. Basically, to put it simply, a $100 bill that you earned in January 2021 can only buy you about $92 worth of goods in January 2022. And inflation isn't expected to just evaporate overnight. They're claiming it's going to drop somewhat, but it's still going to be 4 to 5%. So if you just have billions of dollars sitting in a bank, you need to move that cash sooner rather than later. And with low interest rates, companies have no real great place to put that kind of money to outpace inflation. So that's what leads companies, Microsoft, to make a bold move by making its biggest acquisition ever in Activision Blizzard. Inflation makes that money worth less every single day. But a major acquisition like Activision Blizzard can turn that money into new, reliable revenue stream thanks to businesses like King's Candy Crush, World of Warcraft subscriptions, and Call of Duty microtransactions. Any acquisition is possible. The entire market is aligned in such a way to encourage mergers and acquisitions right now. Regulation and antitrust may stand in the way, but companies are only making these moves because gaming is so competitive right now. And that's going to serve as a key defense for Microsoft and especially for Sony, which is a bigger gaming business than its Xbox counterpart. In an environment like this, any acquisition is possible. For companies that want to buy, they need to keep up with the rest of the market, and while your dollar is still worth something. For studios and publishers that want to sell, you may never get another chance to sell at such a high price. This is a recipe for once unthinkable acquisitions like the ones we've already seen, and that means we should expect to see more of these before the year is over. So there are a lot. Microsoft is heavily influenced to be doing something big very, very soon, and so we got to keep that kind of in our minds when we go forward. A lot of the scuttlebutt is something having to do with Ubisoft, right? And a lot of people are suggesting, well, couldn't Sony just go buy Take-Two? Well, basically what Grubb and some others kind of explained is this. They could make an offer for Take-Two, but also that would get around, and then you would have other companies like Microsoft could outbid them. Even somebody like Amazon could outbid them. People with more money could outbid them, and that's exactly what could happen. In the long run. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to link all this in the description, but who do you think's next for Microsoft? We know we've kind of speculated with Sony, but who's next for Microsoft? I think it's going to be very interesting times. Thanks for watching. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.